okay, let's say we got a HELOC. We can still do all that stuff with the money, right? We'll say, hey, I'm gonna take on $100,000. I'm gonna upgrade the house, and because we get the actual check or whatever, right? We get the money,
right?
Is the rate higher doing it that way?
If you do a HELOC,
yeah.
So if you do a HELOC, the interest rate is typically tied to the prime interest rate and then plus some margin. So it's at 8% right now. So a HELOC, typically the rate would be 8% plus a margin. So typically like 2.25 or something like that from a bank. So your end rate would be at like 10.25%. And then you would just be obligated to pay the interest on it within the first 10 years. And then after 10 years, if the whole balance, if there is a balance on there, isn't paid off, then the remaining 10 years just turns into a fully amortized loan. I believe typically for like 20 years, you know what I mean? So for 20 years, you're paying a fully amortized loan on whatever the remaining balance is on the HELOC. And like,
no, I was saying, is it better to, or getting a home equity loan versus a HELOC versus, like you say, the first position where when you refinance, you pay it all. So I'm like, do you get charged more? Is there a higher percentage, a higher interest rate or something if I do a HELOC and just pay my credit card?
Yeah. No, good question. So if you so it's really a question of how much pain are you feeling month to month. You know what I'm saying? So that's really the question, because if you're feeling a little bit of pain and a pinch month to month, and you're like, you know what, I need to lower my monthly debt exposures month to month just so I can breathe a little bit, do whatever I need to do financially. So this would be a method to consolidate all of your debt into just one payment, right? Because typically for like a credit card or like let's just use an auto loan, for example. The auto loan is typically paid back in either 3 years, 5 years, and in rare cases 7 years. You know what I'm saying? And so your payment on that, whatever balance, to say it's $30,000-$40,000, is going to be relevant to your repayment schedule, 5 years. So if you take that same $30,000 balance, instead of repaying it in 5 years, you're repaying it now over the course of 30 years, where now your monthly payment over the course of 30 years is drastically reduced. You know what I'm saying? So that's why it impacts that monthly payment a lot, because you're essentially you're taking that same debt and you're stretching out the debt over the course of your mortgage loan. You know what I'm saying? So that's why it's lowering your monthly payment.
Okay, hold on. So let's just say we get a HELOC, right? Whatever.
Okay.
$5,200K. You have an option or do you have to pay it back within like a few years, or you have an option to stretch it out your whole 30?
So the way, so for a HELOC, a home equity line of credit, typically the way it's structured is that it's a 30-year loan, but the term is that in the first 10 years, the only thing you're obligated to repay is just the interest. So you don't have to pay the principal down. That would keep your monthly payment very low, because you're just paying on the interest, but you're not reducing the principal balance. You can, if you want to, if you want to continue to pay your principal balance down, but in that
10 years,
so
pay the interest.
Correct. So you have a 10-year interest only period. So let's just say you take out $100,000, and for that first 10 years, you never touch that $100,000 loan balance. You just were paying the interest. Okay. So in year 10, the bank's gonna be like, all right, man, you borrowed this money. Now you need to start paying down that $100,000. You know what I'm saying? And that 100,000,
they're not going to tax that no more or anything like that, because you already paid the interest on it.
Well, you're still going to be paying interest. You're going to be but now you're going to be obligated to pay principal and interest now.
Well, we'll back up. So when you said we paid, what about that 10 years? We said we paid the interest on
it. So it's just, that's the term.
It's just the same interest. Okay.
Right. You know what I mean? Because now, for whatever balance is remaining after 10 years, you have 20 years to pay that remaining balance off.
And if you want to pay the principal as well, I know I'm probably getting a little too.
No, it's cool. It's cool.
how do they decipher, like, hey, I want, like, if you're gonna pay more on your monthly mortgage, like this extra $200 a month, I want to go towards the HELOC.
Yeah.
So, or how do we know it's not going to go towards just our
the
original
interest? Yeah. So you're gonna have your obligated, your minimum payment due, like the interest portion of your payment that's due.
Yeah.
And then when you write your check to the servicer, you just indicate, this portion is applied for the interest, because you'll get a bill in the mail saying, hey, this is the interest portion that's due this month.
Yeah.
And then if you're paying over that, then just indicate either on the check or in the mail that this portion is going to be applied towards principal. And then you can just, and also you can just call the servicer and ask them, what's the best way for me to indicate that my additional payment is going to be made towards the principal.
So if you did like, okay, 100K, 50K, you said it's about what, 10 and a quarter?
Yeah, let's say 10 and a quarter. So 100K. So that's about 10,000 for the year. So that's for the year. So then your monthly divided by 12, so it'll be about 854.
You say what? Oh,
you
divide that
by 12
months,
right?
So 10 to 50.
So 854 would be your monthly interest only payment, or you know what I'm saying?
That's 100, but if you're only taking out 50, you can do that. It just depends on why you.
Exactly, because again, finance is like very personal, you know what I'm saying, and unique to everyone's personal situation, you know what I mean, because like you said, like, it just depends on why you're using it, why you need it.
That's all extra rack of money,
so like, but it depends, like, how are you using the money, you know what I mean? If you're going to use it to, like,
we get it and we have another property that we're renting out,
sure, right, income coming in, and also the big play is really the equity that you're building, over time, by having someone else help pay your principal balance down and service this debt that you just got on there, and then letting just the natural mechanics of real estate occur, of equity appreciation, principal pay down, and tax benefits.
Okay.
And so again, it's about how you manage the debt, because you can say to yourself, all right, look, right now I need a little bit of breathing room. Let's consolidate some debt. I'm going to save myself some monthly cash and improve my monthly cash flow every month. And then if I do come across a big chunk of change, then I can just do a big principal pay down and just pay down my debt. You know what I mean?
How are you saving cash though? You're not. I know it's. I hear you. You're not really saving cash.
Well, so again, depending on how you manage the debt.
And that's if you have like an investment property or something to save. And I guess because when I hear that, I'm like, okay, well, where's this? It's not really saving though.
So it's saving in the short term versus long term, because in the short term you don't have the extra $500 payment, so you're saving X amount of dollars every single month.
But you're paying that.
You're it's just rolled into your new mortgage.
It's rolled in. That's what I'm trying to say. Right. It's paying.
You're paying. So the interest.
It's here. It's all together.
Correct.
And that's good. You don't have certain. I guess multiple people breathing down your neck.
Right. So and I mean, the thing is, it's like some people feel, and again, this is not for everybody. This is only
for sure.
This is for somebody. This fits a particular type of profile for someone who's feeling a financial pinch, like month to month, and they want to essentially improve their monthly cash flow.
Mm-hmm.
If they have monthly debt obligations of $3,000, and if they just do a simple refinance, they can reduce that down to $2,000. That'll help someone out. The tax benefit with the mortgage interest is that what it does is that it reduces your taxable income. So for example, say that one more time. So what it does, so the mortgage interest, when you write it off, what that does is that it reduces your taxable income. So let's just say you paid $20,000 in mortgage interest for the year of 2024, and then you're going to get a statement. The mortgage, it's a 1098 form, 1098 INT, and then it will give you how much interest you paid for the year. And then let's just say you made $100,000 in income for that year. And so when your tax preparer goes to do your taxes, they're going to take that $20,000 in mortgage interest that you just you were handed, and then take that and reduce your taxable income by 20,000. So instead of paying taxes on $100,000, you're paying taxes now on $80,000, right? So
okay,
that's so.
Make sure I got that. Mm-hmm. So you just said, and this is after. This is before the HELOC or after?
So even if you got a HELOC,
yeah. So okay. Yeah. So if you're saying throughout the year, $20,000 worth of interest
mm-hmm.
that we racked up,
mm-hmm.
that we were paying on through the year.
Yeah.
That $20,000 worth of interest, right? Because we get on a taxable income.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's usually how they do it.
Yeah,
taxable income.
Right.
But then so that's interest on on the principal of the home, right? Of however much.
The interest is being calculated, based off of the loan.
So if I'm trying to work in, so the HELOC,
mm-hmm.
so now I'm throwing the HELOC in,
mm-hmm.
and then we just paid off. Okay, no, let's say we're bringing the car in there.
Okay.
Say $40,000 car. Let's just pay that off.
Okay.
Right. So 140.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Okay.
Now, because the house, and the car's going on here, so now we're paying on 140.
The first lien. The first lien.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. Is a fixed rate mortgage. Fixed.
So it's the first lien. Okay.
Right.
So just the house.
Right.
Okay.
The first lien, the big loan, the big portion loan. Right. Is the first lien. That's a fixed rate mortgage. So that's the same thing every month, every time. Right. With the HELOC, because it's not a fixed loan. So this is what's called a revolving line of credit. Right. It's a revolving line of credit. So there's a difference between a fixed loan and then a revolving line of credit. A revolving line of credit behaves just like a credit card. Right. So meaning that you can use it, charge the card and put a balance on the card and then pay off the balance or pay in portions, as you go along, just like a credit card. Right. Mm-hmm. And so the interest that is accrued is based off of whatever balance that you put on there. Let's just say you have it's $1 million house and you have a $500,000 loan, and
so we owe $5.
We owe $5, right? And so you established a $100,000 home equity line of credit. So the way it would appear on the lien positions is that the home equity line of credit would appear as second lien position. So let's say now you have the $100,000. That's at a zero balance, just like a credit card would be. If American Express gave you a credit card with a $100,000 balance, it doesn't mean you have $100,000 in debt. You just have you have an open line of credit for $100,000. You know what I'm saying? Now you said you want to pay off the car for $40,000.
Cool. And maybe I added, okay, how I should have said it,
mm-hmm.
and maybe I'm mixing it up. So forget about the HELOC.
Now speaking a little strategically, now getting into nuances, because there's some cases where people are like, all right, even someone like yourself, who has an awesome rate. We were just kind of discussing that anyways, like who has an awesome rate. Mm-hmm. They're like, dude, I do not want to touch my first lien position. Right. And let's not say an awesome one like you, because you have like a dramatically awesome rate. So let's just say someone like who's just around like 6%.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And right now rates are around like 6.5 is currently where they're trading at. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So like if they were to refinance now, they would increase their interest rate.
Right.
You know what I mean? But like you were saying, does the monthly payment make sense? Because if it makes sense and there's enough equity and all that, and we paid off some other debt in other areas and we increase the interest rate, but we reduce the monthly payment.
Well, why would someone what's it called? Make their interest rate go up?
Yes.
Make their payment go up?
Well, no. See, again, because like because when someone is
refinancing,
yeah, but when someone is looking at their personal home finances, typically the biggest expense is their housing, right, and then they have whatever other debts is like their car, credit card, maybe a student loan or something like that. But typically it's like an auto loan, maybe a student loan or something like that. And so if they have a mortgage payment of 2,000 and then auto loan of 600 and this and that and that, so if we increase the interest rate, because that's just where it's trading at right now, but they're feeling that monthly pinch, and we can eliminate.
Oh, you have to. So you're saying you have to refinance in order to incorporate everything?
Correct.
Okay, that's what I was. I'm like,
yeah.
Okay, you can't just incorporate it.
No. Yeah, no. We would have to restructure the whole financing.
So it happens by doing a refinance.
Yeah.
Or so then the other option, if you can't do it like that, is doing the HELOC.
Is doing the HELOC. Correct. Correct.
So like second lien, but that goes into the to the second.
Yeah, it goes in a second lien position. So
I mean, everything like your other bills that would go into the second lien.
Correct. Yeah. So let's just say like you have a dope interest rate, and you're like, man, I do not want to touch this rate, and I got plenty of equity. I want to take out $100,000 and I want to pay off my car, $40,000 now. So let's just say we're going with that example, $500,000 loan amount you currently have on your first, and then you just established $100,000 line of credit, right? So now you have a zero balance, and you're like, if I pay off this car, my car payment right now is, let's just say $500 every single month. If I pay it off right now,
and that pays like cash. If you're going to buy a car, you can like, hey, I was going to pay this whole thing off.
Sure, yeah, just as cash.
It saves you. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, you can just take a check or cashier's check and just do it like that. And then so if you pay off the car, let's say you're paying principal and interest, of course, on that car, and so now you just put a $40,000 balance on that line of credit. So now you're only paying, so on top of your mortgage, the question you would ask yourself is, how much extra is this going to add to my mortgage payment? Right. So like now I put $40,000 on this equity line. Let's just say the rates are at 10.25%. So that's 4,100 annually. Okay, so divide that by 12 now. So that's an extra 341 on top of your monthly payment. You know what I'm saying? That you would have to pay.
Right.
And so you just reduced it by $500 down to 341.
So let's say if it is in the second lien position. How does that work with your interest rate with it being decreased, right? Because that can still happen, right?
Yeah. So like, okay, good question. So like in the event, let's say you have let's just say a 6% interest rate right now, and you that's your first lien loan, the big loan, right? And then behind it, you set up that HELOC. You now have a $40,000 balance on it. That's in second lien position. Now rates have dropped, right? And you're like, dude, I want to refinance my first lien, that big loan, because that's going to impact my monthly payment the most, is the big loan, right? And so let's just say you have it at 6% and they drop to 4.5%. All right, cool. We refinance just that first lien position. We haven't been paying the principal. We're just paying the interest for the time being, So that 40,000 is just still sticking out there, But it's been helping us out month to month, because it's been reducing our monthly payments. So it's been helping us. We've been able to buy more groceries, been able to put more gas in our car, do whatever we got to do, But now this opportunity has come up, and you know what? Yeah, I do want to pay off that $40,000 and just roll it into my new mortgage balance, because the interest rates have dropped down, that if I just roll everything in there, one payment now, I can still keep my equity line, you know what I mean? But now I have a zero balance on the equity line. I just rolled in that 40,000 in my new mortgage, and the monthly payment is still improved, because the interest rate has been improved.
So the equity line, meaning like you can still have it, but why?
I would always keep it just in case of an emergency. If you do want to do further home improvements.
I mean, because
no,
you already spent the money.
No. It's
you said that 40,000. I'm assuming that
yeah.
That's from the home equity line of
credit. Correct. So remember the home equity line of credit acts like a credit card. So remember, just like a credit card, you have a credit card? You have a credit card. So if you use and you swipe it and you use it to pay for gas or something like that, at the end of the month they send you a bill. Typically with a bill requesting the minimum payment required, right? It's like $100 or something like that, right? You can choose to pay that minimum payment, or you can just pay off the whole balance if you really want to.
So it'll just stay open.
It'll just stay open
until you close
it out.
But you can still keep it at zero,
sure.
like it's a car, and you don't have to own. But doing that, putting it over in this from second lien to first. Okay. Now, okay, that's good. Understanding that. All right. Yeah.